Hey there, my name is Dana Stevens and I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and I've been out on some Facebook and YouTube, and I wanted just to take this brief moment to give those of you who do not know a little bit of a background of my journey to where I am today. I was born and raised in southern Minnesota in a town of about 4,500 people out in the country, where the extent of the diversity in my town was two Mexican families and maybe three foreign exchange students from Europe. That was it. Otherwise, yes, you guess it, it was white, white, white. Well, from there I went to a 2-year school in Forest City, Iowa, which pretty much was the same makeup. And then in January of 1994, I took a journey out here to Chicago, to Moody Bible Institute, where I was going to pursue my degree in youth ministry, and I wanted to use it in the wilderness as a camp director because I loved the wilderness. Well, in March of 1994, about 2 months after I'd gotten to Chicago, a couple of classmates invited me to attend their church on the west side of Chicago. So I said, sure, let's go. We jumped on the train, and as we took stops to get to our destination, there's one thing that I noticed. More and more white folk got off the train and more blacks got on the train, to when we finally reached our stop, I think us three were the only whites that I could see. So right then and there, as we started walking to the church a couple blocks away, I recognized and realized that I was in a ghetto. And this is a place that I was taught is not somewhere I want to be, especially as a white guy, because those who live in black ghettos are uneducated, lazy, they're dangerous, they steal, rob, destroy, and gang members and drug dealers. Well, when I got to the church, the pastor talked about the destruction of stereotypes, which was powerful. And so leaving church, I began to meditate on that in a deeper level than what I was already aware of. Well, about a block or so leaving the church, and it had snowed, so we were walking in a single file line. I was at the end of the line. I noticed 5 young black men about a half a block in front of us coming our way. Well, I didn't have a cell phone back then, so I couldn't dial 911. I didn't know if I could run across the street. Where was I going to go as a white man? And then I thought, wait a minute though, Dana. Didn't you hear what the pastor said? If these were 5 young white men, would you be thinking the things and doing the things you're thinking about doing? Absolutely not. This is what he was talking about. Stereotypes destroy the lives of people even before you meet them. So had that battle in my mind, and as they were walking towards us, they picked up some ice chunks, and I wasn't thinking anything. And when they got by my 2 friends and passed them, they greeted each other, so I was going to do what I observed. However, when these guys got to me, they did not greet me in the same way. And within a few moments, I found myself in the snow with a bloody nose, a busted lip, a black eye, and some bleeding in the back of my head, because those ice chunks were not used for a snowball fight. They were used on me. And even while I was in some of that disarray and what's going on, the biggest impact took place with these words being shouted to me after the last young man gave me a kick. And those words were, "Welcome to racism!" And then they ran off. In those next couple of months, greater than the physical pain that I was dealing with, I felt the pain of these 5 young black men. The pain behind those words, "Welcome to racism," as they took that out on me, a representation of white America. And it was at that point that my whole life changed, my whole course of direction. No longer was I called to go to the wilderness, but to stay in the concrete jungle, as I may say. And so for the last 23 years, I have lived my life living in a black community, not too far from the one that I was beaten up on. And I have worked with the young people from the streets. I have put myself under the leadership of mighty black men and women, to be mentored, to be educated, to see, to watch, to feel, and to experience all of the injustices that this nation has against my black brothers and sisters, which manifested itself in the pain and the beating that I experienced from these 5 young black men. And so now here I sit 23 years later with a much greater understanding of the systematic racism and prejudice that my ancestors have had to keep and to destroy you since we brought you here 400 years ago. And so I'm at this pivotal point that I'm no longer called to build a youth center, but Yah has called me to declare the truth of this. As a white man, equality is not something we will have with anybody or anyone, including women. We'll tolerate them. But there was something I have asked over these years to see, Yah, why is it that white America hates blacks? We despise you. We have no desire to listen, to empower you. Why is it that we have so much against you? Until recently, within this last year, Yah gave me a revelation. And he said, that is because you, my black brothers and sisters in this country, are his chosen people. You are the Hebrew nation that is being talked about in Deuteronomy chapter 28. That is you. That is why you're so despised and hated above even other nationalities and religions and all that, because you are his chosen people. So now in this last year, Yah has transformed my ministry from building a youth center to declaring the truth from the side of a white Gentile, to confirm and affirm in you as my black brothers and sisters that you are not a cursed group of people, but you are a chosen group of people. To not worry about trying to educate my people, because ignorance is not a heart condition. Their heart is set against you, and until Yah reveals to them my purpose in trying to educate them about who you are is a waste of time. So this movement of One Love and the inner city ministries and mentoring programs and us joining together is to do this, to educate and to reveal and to speak the good truth and the good news that you as black Americans are God's chosen people, and that this oppression that you have been under is real, but it is also coming to an end, because my ancestors documented the first slave in this country between 1619 and 1620. Add 400 years to that, we coming to 2019, 2020. That means that your deliverance is right on the verge of happening, and therefore more than ever, we've got to not judge our very people for the lack of choices they're making or the lifestyles they're in or being out on the streets, but to understand why they are and to tell them that they are God's chosen, to give them their identity, to let them know that they're kings and queens, princes and princesses of the Most High. That is One Love movement. But I'm at a place where I can't do this alone anymore. And I'm asking for your help. And this is hard for me, because I don't want my good to be spoken evil of. I don't want those of you that have been following me to say, yeah, maybe now this is his real purpose. He just wants to get rich. I'm being honest and vulnerable to you. But I don't have the depth of resources in my pockets to do what Yah has asked me to do. And he has confirmed and affirmed over and over that this video and this request that I'm making is from him. So I am doing a movement, and I'm doing and asking for a pledge, your help, Not for hundreds of dollars, but $1, $5, $10, $20, so that I can do the things that he's asking me to do. But even more than that, I need those of you to join me I need board members. I need people that will write the curriculum for the mentoring programs. I don't want this to be you follow me, but that together we're walking to empower my black brothers and sisters, your people and who they are. And I can no longer do this alone. So if you are able to do web pages, if you're able to write and you can help me put together the curriculum, I'll put it all together so that together we can empower the people that are been lost because your identity was not taken, it was stolen by my family. And it's time for you to get it back. It's time for you to receive back everything that has been stolen from you. If you have any questions, please let me know. www.onelovesociety.love www.onelovesociety.love. I need your help. I need a team. Yah has promised that this movement is going to go across the nation. I need your help. Please consider helping me any way that you can. For I cannot do this alone. And I alone do not have what it takes to make this happen. So thank you for tuning in. And I pray that Yah will speak to you, that you will know that my motive is not to profit, but to sustain myself in doing what Yah has called me to do. And that is to speak the truth about who you are, his chosen people. Thank you. And I look forward to talking to many of you soon. Shalom.